like tech support junior.
That's
There we
nice.
go. There we go. There we go. Okay. So it should be. I see the green.
Green is good.
Green is good. Green's always good.
Yes.
I'll just wait for it to pop up on YouTube. Popped up on my other phone, so it should be on my
Good.
main phone.
Awesome, man.
Brian said it's up. It's not up on my phone. I'm always last place. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah,
Here we go. All right, 14 people in there. Smash that thumbs up button. Woo!
they're coming.
It's there. There he is. We're gonna wait for a couple peeps to come in and then get started. Who's in the chat? Say something.
I don't. Oh, I gotta go
You don't
here
have
to
it
see.
open.
There we are. Yeah.
Handsome men. Handsome men. 23 people. Oh snap.
24. Nice.
24. The following takes place.
There's our little delay. That's nice.
Dude, somebody says, "What's up, Alex Blanchard?" Yes, it's just us talking, but after this show, it will be replays of Mamacita Week.
Oh, Mamacita week. Mamacita has a week, and I'm in 50 plus episodes, and I don't have a week. I love that.
Don't worry, Josh. We'll get
Phil
you back.
Hellmuth has a week. I think Josh's total is like 58 episodes in all the years of Live with the Bike, but there's no Macciello week. I love it. I love it.
It's coming. Macciello Week coming.
Okay. I mean,
What's
I only
up,
make
Tim?
6 calls in Live at the Bike history, but that's okay.
They're in the hand of the days. We have to
Yeah,
keep
they
up,
come.
though. We have to keep up.
Alex, Tim, see them coming. I mean, how long have you and I
Jeez,
known
Alex.
each other? How long have we known each other, Wayne? When was?
I mean,
I remember your first show.
yeah, you were in the very first show I played in, and that was, and then I commentated with Lyman the next day, and that was like my debut. But I don't know if we played together over the years.
Yeah. I mean,
I
you always
remember
played at it. You were playing mixed games and other stuff more, right?
Live, I mainly played high stakes limit hold'em. Then
Limit. That's what it was. Yeah, you were at the limit table. Yeah.
but I played stud and no limit. But no limit, I would have to play shorthanded because I can't stand full ring.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So I would.
I'm like Antonio. I remember when Antonio Sfondiari was on Live with the Bike. He didn't want more than 6 people. He was asking.
His limit is 7. But
Yeah.
usually, like the shorter the better. It's just like full ring is just like
I'm the same way. It just seems like the game flows better. When it's a full table, it annoys the shit out of me, dude. It really does.
It's just really slow.
Yeah.
And just like honestly, people complain that like limit hold'em is solved. Actually, like 100 big blind, no limit hold'em is probably more solved than anything.
Well,
Or
when
just like
Macciello's at the table and you get him a couple of bad beats and I start straddling 7,000, people don't watch all the shows I'm in. That's I still think to today that I have an 11,000 live straddle, which is the biggest probably on the show.
11,000 is probably the biggest.
And I also tipped the dealer 10,000 once on a losing hand. I tipped the dealer 5,000 once, and regularly $2,000 tips on losing hands. So I'm known for weird things at the bicycle casino.
All right, let's get started. We have enough people in here, and it's 6 p.m. So I wanted, as we said, I want to get you when my jaw was healthy, but as we know, life happens. Bell's palsy. You said I'm getting better.
I've been praying for you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's real life, and just like the coronavirus. Kobe passes away. We had the coronavirus. 2020, we're off to a good start.
It was tough for me to start as well, man. I completely understand.
So yeah, like when was your first appearance on Live the Bike? What year?
I mean, you got to go way back. I mean, it's got to be 2006, 2008, maybe, like those shows. I wasn't a regular, but I would pop in. And that's when Barry White had like his natural hair color and not
Barry Woods.
I'm sorry, Barry Woods. Barry White, yeah, Barry Woods, and Phil Locke was
Phil
on the
Locke was
show.
there. Yeah.
Kenneth James was playing back then, and
Yep. I remember.
one of the fans, I don't remember which one, but he was, one of the fans was a regular, not JC, one of the other fans.
Oh,
Uh,
John fan
I think
or
it was probably John fan, one of those.
Tim fan?
Tim. It was Tim.
Tim.
That's
Yeah.
what it was. It was Tim Fan, who was a regular. Fun to play with, a lot of action. Corporation Mike. I don't know if you guys remember that name, but
I
you know,
remember. Yeah.
yeah, those were the crew. I mean, and the games were just action, and that's when poker was, taking off, and the action. You had all the guys, and the Legends was there with through the WPC. So you would have the guys like Doyle and all those guys in there at that time when poker was just getting to hit that climax. So it was fun, and I had different waves. I had that wave, and then I had the next wave when the show left and then came back. Actually,
Right.
Corporation Mike and I went up to Haig's office before, and Haig sent us to Evelyn saying, "Hey, go talk to Evelyn," because we were going to bring it back before the next wave first, and we just couldn't get to it and get it done. And then we were happy that it did. And
It's a lot of work. Yeah.
oh man, and at that time it was pretty cool. There was a life size. I mean, there was a huge poster of me on the back wall. So it was.
I remember.
I
Yeah.
don't know if you remember that.
I do.
Um,
Yeah.
but it was fun, and then and then that next surge of just having all these talented, the Andys and the and those guys come in. I wasn't there for Garrett yet. I love watching him play. I'm a big fan.
He's a
I
beast.
think
Yeah.
my style and his style. He's pro. I know that, and I'm considered recreational. Although if you count all the live hands I have, I don't know what qualifies a pro. But I played a lot of poker. I think my style and his would be great. I mean, everybody's dead
I
scared of
agree.
Andy, and if you ask Andy, I run really, really good against him, and I do really well against Andy. And he's my favorite guy to play against because he's honestly one of the best players I've ever seen in my life.
And super nice guy too. Yeah.
Oh, the best. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the part that people don't realize. They see Andy, I can say this last 2 years, he's opened up his personality more to be more, smiley. Andy used to just be a quiet dude that would sit there and you didn't know what he was thinking. But I had that ability, how outgoing I am, Wayne, that I would get it out of him. I'd get Andy to have a couple cocktails, and the next thing you know, he's the
He's
life of the party.
Chatty Cathy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I love this show, man. It's look, the Bicycle Casino is where I learned to play poker. So I love that place.
And just like, a lot of the bike event, like it's a whole history of what's going on. Like, people who are on YouTube, like right now, they know of like a very small piece. And just like, even when I came on, like you had been on for a long time, it wasn't even on YouTube yet. And like back then I was like, I didn't even know who would watch this stuff. But it's like, the platform YouTube comes out and then, maybe it becomes a hit.
Well, it was, it was poker. Before it was Poker Go, there was another poker kind of app that jumped in with Live at the Bike and started to really get outside people, outside of the website people watching it. And that was awesome because now all of a sudden you started to hear from people in all different parts of the world, trying to talk about your play and talk poker. And I love the game. I mean, my wife, I'm married 25 years now.
Wow.
Poker is my hobby. My wife knows that, my life was, we would go on vacation where there were poker things going on, whether it was Australia or somewhere else. And I would give her a good time for a few days and then go and play poker, so that was our deal. So poker is my life. It's a great hobby. I have, several businesses that I'm affiliated with. A lot of people have always asked, where's Macciello? And there's, poker is somewhat like the entertainment world. There's a lot of propaganda that people like to insinuate, but not really know what's going on. And reality is I've been dealing with a lot of, my mom, my dad, and my sister were diagnosed with stage 4 cancer many years ago. My sister 7 years ago, my dad 6 years ago, and my mom within the last 2 years. My sister had a big turn for the worse a couple of years ago, where a lot of my time was spent in her beautiful home in Garden City, Long Island, taking care of her. And unfortunately, she lost that battle on January 20th. This year, 2020. So before Kobe, actually, on my sister, everybody came and we threw a ceremony for her here on the West Coast after her funeral on the East Coast, and it was the day of Kobe's death. So, it was like such a surreal day of here I am mourning my sister and then having to deal with that. I'm like, well, that's an unusual start to this year, you know.
It's getting weirder every passing
Yeah.
day.
Yes, it is.
So we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's start with the Josh and Macciello story and how did you get into
Sure.
poker?
Sure. Um, I was brought into Live at the Bike by a family. I'm sorry, Live at the Bike, the Bicycle Casino, by a family member in 2005. And the games weren't even close to what they are now, but there was still a buzz. There was still an excitement. I want to think that's the moneymaker year, if I'm not mistaken, '05, roughly.
Yeah, it's either 04 or 05, I don't remember.
Yeah,
It's gotta be 04. It's gotta be
yeah.
04. Yeah.
And so it was the buzz of poker in general. And I just remember going in there and, I was just started making some money for myself, doing okay. And I was just shipping money because it was, it was just an excitement to go all in at that time.
I
And the
like
bike,
timeout. It's 2003. Moneymaker was 2003. I just looked it up.
so the buzz is still there in
Yeah.
2005. It's still on the upswing. You got all the poker shows going on. You had high stakes going on, and you had these other ones that I remember. There was one that was happened at the Meringue, the Morongo Casino, where they would all get together and do a sit and go. So it was a big buzz of poker, and ESPN was airing it. So going to the bike was fun, man. And the bike, my friends owned the casinos. And when I mean they owned, I knew my wife's Armenian, so I knew a lot of Armenians. So I used to go to Commerce, and I hate to say the other casino, but I wasn't comfortable there. There wasn't a comfort. It felt like it was just too done up. And then I would go to the bicycle casino, and there was just like, I always tell people when they ask me why is that? I said, it feels like I'm home. There's just a home comfort element at the bicycle that the other casinos couldn't give to me. And I never left. I mean, the only reason I would go to the other casinos is if there was a big WPT tournament and I wanted to play in it. Other than that, even after I was done, I would go to the bike, get in my car and go to the bike right afterwards. And it just became my home away from home. And I got to learn from a lot of very cool everyday professionals that actually would take my money, but then they would also be cool enough to talk poker with me and to explain to me why did I do that in that situation and how I would want to, maybe change my game up a bit. And I thought just them being that cool about it, I said, I'm never going to go anywhere else again. This was my place. So that's my beginning career of poker.
And you're from New York?
I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Born and raised, and came out here in '96. Came out. I was working on Wall Street. I didn't like the vibe. I didn't like how it was and how the people were. I came out here when 11 snowstorms was hitting New York in '96, and I got off the plane in a big North Face jacket. And the flight attendant says, "You're not going to need that no more. It's 78 degrees." So, well, how often is it like this? She goes, not many, just like 9 or 10 months out of the year. And I said, I'm never going back. And I never did. I stayed here since.
So yeah, you've been around LA for a pretty long time now. Almost 15 years and
No, 25. 25
25.
years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are the craziest things you've seen here or stories?
Well, I've been lucky enough to be around. I have a lot of friends in the entertainment business in all facets of it, and I've been lucky enough to be around a lot of parties. I've been lucky enough to actually be around those games that were in Molly's games that people were talking about and know who those people are, at those kind of actions. I've been lucky enough to party underneath the Staples Center when the Lakers won their championships and to be around Jack and some of those cool people. I'll never share what I saw down there because I'd never be invited back again. Let's just say a lot of the stories, the hysteria you would hear actually goes on, and it was fun. It was a good time. A lot of those Hollywood parties, my friends are doing major productions. I'm involved in opening a new movie studio now as we speak with some very talented, well-known producers and creators. So we're always on the scene of seeing some really crazy things, and I was a part of watching that and enjoying it as a fan while being a part of it.
Pretty awesome. Yeah. I mean, I think yeah, just like what you said about Wall Street and stuff, it's just like the poker world gets a lot of flack, but actually every industry is pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't think of a single good industry. I get like talks with a bunch of people. Like, what's a good industry, a clean industry?
Well, you know, my lives, I look at it too. I'm 45 now. I had two halves, and you know, I was raised Catholic. I went to a Catholic school. Then I sort of, you know, played played the Wall Street entertainment world, and you know, and I was very wild, if you will, I will say. And then the second half of my life is married, kids, and basically I found my faith again because I sort of ditched it a little bit. And now, you know, we're just looking, my partners and I, I'm partnered with a guy named Derek Chan and Arthur Sarkeesian. We're making some really cool movies. Arthur did all the Rush Hour movies. Derek made every DreamWorks movie, animation, Shrek, and all that. So we're now in the mindset of creating a realm of doing positive movies that aren't, you know, young teens shaking their ass and putting a negative image out there, because what you're saying and what you just hit on is absolutely true. Everywhere you look, there's bullshit, there's propaganda, there's people looking to bring each other down, and that's not what we're
Mm.
about.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. It's some like even something like the education industry, which is supposed to be like, you know, clean, doesn't isn't necessarily all it's cracked up to be. Um,
No, and it hasn't been, you know, for quite some time, you know.
um, I think our first run got cut off a little bit because we had some tech issues. But did you have any comments on LA, you know, shutting down for another 90 days or?
You know, it's horrible, you know. It's I'm very tied into a lot of people. I have to, when you see me looking up, I'm thinking is I got to be careful because I am tied into a lot of political folks, and I'm tied into a lot of uh, people of industry and people who work for the city. Um, Absolutely not ever debating that there is a very bad strain of flu out there. I just think that our media does a very poor job of making us always feel like Chicken Little, that the sky is falling worse than what it is. My family and friends work in the most dangerous hospital, dangerous when it comes to COVID in New York.
Mm,
They've had the most cases and the most deaths out of the hospital, and some of the things you hear are a lot of those deaths could have been avoided had things been handled differently. So, you know, you tend to think, well, that sucks. You know, what are we being told and what are we not? And now shutting down another 90 days, you know, I'm one of the guys, I'm a fan of where our bodies are built to withstand and handle things. And by keeping us away from bacteria and germs is never a good thing. I think, you know, it's going to cause more problems in the future. I'm also from the mindset that I'm an independent voter, so I don't want people to think he's right, he's left. If you're good, I like you. If you're not, you're a piece of shit that, you know, that is just trying to make it as a president, you know. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that don't realize politics are beyond the president. You vote every 2 years to put people in office that make decisions about your life, that it's not just about a president, but they follow like sheep. And this is why people are so scared of one another. I mean, you know, I went to the beach. I posted it. I took my wife on Mother's Day to Venice. There was thousands of people there. Nobody was wearing masks, and there was a rumor you're going to be arrested. Well, the cops were right next to us, laughing,
hmm
having a good time. So, you know, to say that, you know, all that stuff. Well, you watch the news. Nope, I got arrested by a cop at the beach.
mm,
Well, we had thousands of people there, and there was no people being arrested. By the way, there's a very cool light in the water, luminescent, that's going on. If you haven't seen in the beach, I'll tell anybody to get over there. Once the sun goes down, an hour after, the waves crash, and there's this beautiful blue light, a luminescent that's happening that I think everybody should go see. It's gorgeous.
yeah, I miss being by the beach, but it was a different life. Gotta gotta grind, make that money, and then see if I have that retirement money again.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
so your current company, I'm posting the web address in the chat. You talk about want
Yes.
to talk about Amici Enterprise?
Yeah, yeah. So about 5 years ago, I decided to into a energy technology company, and we knew it was going to be tough because power companies were going to, you know, pretty much. We showed an ability to do things different, transferring power that was more efficient. We had patents done in
Uh oh. Like you froze.
He's out of Colorado.
Okay, you're back. Okay.
Yeah, Adil Khan, who's out of Colorado, who invented the technology called MPTS, Maximum Power Transfer Solution. We partnered with Adil to bring the product to market, and we decided that instead of dealing with power companies, we about 3 years ago we applied for a it's not a grant, but it's an approval through the military and the government services, so we can start having these things on very important places like courthouses and places that power companies don't really affect much by their bills. So this technology cleans power. I'll give you an example. If you're seeing that California has such bad power and they have so many times where it gets overloaded, you have blackouts and power goes down. We prevent that from happening. And the military has been using us successfully for 4 years, and they're going to start rolling us out come July. It's an exciting time because we sunk millions of dollars, millions and millions into it. I have over 5 million myself, my partner has several million, and to finally start to see it come to light is really, really amazing. If you see the website, it's www.amicienterprise.com, or you can go to www.amiciempts.com, and you can go see different video links and see it installed in different places. We started installing in Dubai and across to other places, and it's working phenomenal. It works in all places on the world, and we're really excited about the technology. It's going in a big way.
I'll post the link below. I posted in the chat, so yeah, I just wanted to check it out. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
what
it's
what were the
cool.
what were the other things you worked on over the years?
We previously, before this, we were involved and sold a technology which was somewhat of a reactor called a reactor. We sold it to the military as well. Basically, it had the ability. I'm going to get geeky. It had the ability to collapse magnetic fields when electromagnetic force became too big. Most of the times, you would just have a big explosion or something along those lines. Well, we use the ability to align our magnets in a certain way to where it can eat up all the back EMF and dump it to ground. That technology we sold, and it allowed us to now get involved in some other things. We're currently now, so my partner, Derek Chan, who I mentioned, used to be the head of global of DreamWorks Animation. He worked directly on the Jeffrey Katzenberg, and
Hmm.
he's currently my CEO of the energy company. And now we're starting a movie studio where we partnered with gentlemen, like I told you before, other companies like Jim and David Henry and their company, Novo Media Group. Arthur Sarkeesian, we're working with, who did all the Rush Hour movies. The company's called Global Ascension Studios. We're going to be producing not faith-based, but faith-minded movies, meaning movies that have positive outcomes, not everything that the world is coming to an end and, the world's going to end before your very eyes. We're going to have stuff where more motivational. We have projects that have significant actors in it, large actors, A-list, meaning, Kevin James and Vince Vaughn kind of people, and we're excited about that. We're in development on a lot of those things, and we're expecting that to have a strong finish to 2020 and go into 2021, with many, many movies on the slate coming out.
Cool. Who were the like? I I didn't know what Jeff Katzenberg looked like, but I know he. I heard he played a lot, so I don't even know if I played with him in the past. I do know I played against like quite a few Hollywood producers, directors, and
Being
actors and
respectful
everything.
to him, he's not very tall. He's on the smaller side, but he plays. He plays, and he plays high stakes, and he loves the game. He played in the other casino a lot more
Yeah,
than
I
ours.
heard. I heard like a lot of our time was overlapped, like when he was more active. So I was just wondering if I played with him because I played
Yeah,
with some
he, he
people.
he stopped playing at casinos and started playing in other games, big home games that were going on and whatnot, from what I understand. So I
Right.
heard recently he hasn't played as much.
I mean, yeah, it's. I mean, poker's just like on and off. Like James Woods, I used to play with him like 10-20 no limit, way back in the day, and then now he and I are playing mixed game together at the bike. And the
I
funny thing
saw you
is,
guys jump over there. I saw you guys jump to mix together. Yeah.
I mean, I play almost everything, not like the entire range, but just like more than no limit hold'em, which like most of the audience only plays and watches no limit hold'em. It was funny. The thing about James Woods is like I actually had not seen any of his movies, so I only knew him because he was on Entourage.
Oh my
He
God.
was on Entourage like twice, and I was like, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
you're on Entourage!" And I didn't even know. And everyone's like, dude, you're so disrespectful. He was in Casino. He was in like this crazy movie, that
He's
crazy
got
movie.
nominated for major awards in the past too. I mean, it's so funny that you said that to him. And he's a cool guy that he would have took
He's
it.
really nice.
Very,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's like, it's crazy because like he goes like crazy on Twitter and he has like over 1 million followers, I think. And then, in person, he's just like, I don't know. He's always been super nice to me.
Well,
I don't even know.
passionate.
Yeah.
He's passionate about his politics,
Mhm.
as we know if you follow him on Twitter, and
Yeah.
he's not scared to say that. And and that's a part where I think our country is so lost right now, man. That when I was let's say in my 20s and not my 45s, you can have a different opinion of people and not be completely buried and just burned to the ground. You used to be able to preach more freely. And that's why I call him Jimmy,
Jimmy.
is a
Yeah.
guy that he has that ability where he's going to speak his mind. He's going to say how he feels.
Yeah.
So the reality of it is he's been kicked off Twitter. I can't even count how many times.
I know. I text him when like he gets reinstated or something. Like there was like free James Woods trending or like hashtag
Well,
free
Trent
James
had
Woods. Yeah.
2.5 million. So he gets people to be on his side. I'll tell you that
Yeah.
much. Sure.
Mm.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
guy,
We were
man.
gonna have him. We were gonna have a game with him on Live with the Bike. Him and a couple like notable people, and then
We played a
COVID
great
happened.
game with him, Gentili. It was a bunch of actors, and I was involved in it, and it was fun because I got to sit. Jennifer Tilly is in. If you guys don't know, a great gambling movie was called Let It Ride
Mm.
with Jen Tilly. It was about horse betting, if you will, but it was a great movie, and I got to sit next to her and talk to her the whole night because it was one of my favorite movies, and I like to bet the ponies a little bit. So it was kind of fun. And we've had shows on Live with the Bike where there's been the Kevin Harts, if you will, and all those guys.
Gentilly was on too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I've been to Gentilly and Phil Locke's place. I usually talk to Phil Locke, but she's just having a time of her life and just like having her hair did internally. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
he people always display him as just being out there, and this guy's a very smart guy, dude. I
oh
mean,
yeah,
I,
no,
I've
I know.
talked to him numerous. This guy is very, very smart. And he's exciting and fun to be around as well.
It's like it's cool because there's a lot of TV players. I mean, I don't like the Hollywood people. I don't know them that well. Like my interactions with them have been pleasant. Like James Woods, our relationships evolved over the years. We used to like play against each other 10-20 no limit. Now, when he doesn't know something about poker, because now I'm on broadcast, he could trust me to like not lie to him. Which
Right.
I think people, my role in poker is just different because they trust me to be like, okay, if you need to learn a game, just ask Wayne, and then I'll. And I know his style. He actually went to MIT. He always like name drops that when
Yeah, he
we
does.
see each other. Then no, but I was trying to teach him open face Chinese poker. So a lot of people, and this is a skill I've learned over the years, when they teach like, oh, you do this, this, and this, this. I'm like, no. Like I realize, especially for his personality type, you have to let him figure it out. So you just do some basic steps, and then the guys next to me were like, "Oh, you should play like this because ABC XYZ," because they want to like rush and just like get him to play. I'm like, no, no,
Right.
no, let him figure it out. Once he figures it out, cocaine will addict him.
I
No.
definitely want to start opening my games up, and we'll be, you and I are pals, so I'll be coming to you
Yeah,
because look, I play Omaha, I play to Hold'em, I play Limit, I play all the basic, and I know Stud and all that. That's simple, but the other ones, in the horse realm, if you will, I'd love to start learning. Hey, I'm angry that you know another part of obviously with having my family go through what they went through. I didn't get to play short deck, man. I'm sitting here like I want to get into short deck. It looks fun. It looks exciting.
I actually haven't played short deck. One of the reasons that I said I don't think short deck will catch on in the U.S. is because the hand rankings are screwed up. Like
Hmm.
why stud and PLO are still okay is because like it's the same hand rankings, but
Right.
in short deck, you're missing some cards or like trips beat. I don't remember the ranking. I think a straight beats a flush or something like that. So just like when
A
you
flush
screw
beat, no, flush beats a full house.
a flush beats a full house, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see exactly. Like when you screw things like that, I'm like I don't even know what I'm going for. Like forget it.
Right.
But some of these like optional games like sorry, Badoogie or Deuce to Seven triple draw, it's like
Right.
it's more straightforward. At least it's like clearly your ranks are different. Um, and
But
some of the
short deck seems like
hybrids.
an action game for an action guy like me. It seems like there's action there. Look,
Yeah,
the
there
greatest
is.
tournament I've ever played. I've always done well. If you look me up at WPT, big events with thousands of people. I finished top 18, top 15, one top 11. And I loved, that I like tournament too as much as I love cash. But the greatest tournament I've ever been involved in, and I think they only did it 1 year, was All Annie. It was an All Annie tournament at
Mm.
WSOP. I finished 11th in that, and that was just me being too young. I got the chip lead with 11 left, and I didn't know how to behave. I just started putting people all in, trying to take them out. I didn't. I should have waited it out, made the final table, but the action element there is so grand. It was the funnest tournament I've ever been a part of.
So, one of the like when you're mentioning the horse mix games, those are the old school mix games. Like nowadays, and they're even progressing even more. So
Right,
first low ball like ace to five was evolved into deuce to seven. So the nuts is deuce three four five seven, and then it's a triple draw game. And there's
right.
this deuce to seven no limit, and they start hybriding Badoogie in the low ball games, and that's where I think it got really popularized. And then, as you know, high stakes poker is split up into no limit, limit, PLO, studs defunct now, and then mixed games. So it's like not what televised people, it's televised. It's like split. So when mix was in its prime, I think prime action, that's when it caught on, which is Badusi, Badasi, which when you hear them, it sounds really complicated. But then when you play them, they're not that complicated. They're really like addicting because it's like what you're going for, and it's
Well, Ivy
a lot of
playing
action.
horse got me. I'm a big Ivy fan. I communicate a lot with Negreanu. I'm actually going to get my hair done where he got his hair done, just so you
It's
know.
funny.
He admits it openly. So, but Ivy and I have been around, and I poked his ear whenever I could. Really cool guy. People think he's unapproachable. He wasn't. Daniel's very approachable as well. And watching them, the horse play and hearing him say that he loves that element made me say, you know what, I got to learn more games. I mean,
Yeah.
I want, I'm a fan of it. He's still considered in a lot of people's minds, as Daniel said the other day when High Stakes came out, he's still the greatest that he's seen in his eyes.
Oh, Ivy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I've seen a lot of good players. I've never played against Ivy. I actually in like 2004 in Rincon Casino, which is near the San Diego area.
yeah.
I
Hmm.
saw him and Gus Hansen play like heads up. Oh, what game was it? It wasn't Hold'em. I think it was. I think it was either Deuce of Seven or something. But they didn't have $100 chips. They only had $1 chips. So they played each other on credit. Like like each $1 chip was $100 chips.
Yeah,
So
that's
I got to
fun.
watch them play. I've actually never played with Gus Hansen or Ivy. I've only played with Negreanu online.
Haven't played with Hanson. I got to play with everybody else. It was fun. No, that's not true. Dewan's the one that
Never played with him. Yeah,
yeah, I want to play with him. I'm interested in sitting down at a table with him. Our
he's still
styles, if you
around.
look, are very similar. It's just I've built up a reputation of doing that only when I'm tilted. I have to learn, my if you look at the history of my Live of the Bikes, all the big shows I do well. All the 10, 25s, 25, 50, 50, and 100, 1, 2, I've done well. I've always walked away a winner on those shows because I play a more relaxed, calm, focused game. The games that always got me in trouble is
The
when,
smaller
you know,
ones.
yes, it's so easy for me to shift 5 to 10. It was just so easy. It was not a big deal to try to make the move. And then people caught on saying he's just doing that whenever he wants. So they started
Right.
calling me.
No, it's very common that when people play smaller stakes, they're more reckless with what
But
they
the
do.
games are awesome. Look, man, the I'm loving. I it's a dream to me what's happening now, and it's bittersweet because I'm happy it's happening, but now I'm going to get more acclimated and come back because I think I'm going to bring a new element to these guys. I know they're a lot of internet guys that played at a different time than us. That the face to face wasn't there, so the social. But like I said, I got Andy to come out of his shell. I can get everybody at a table to come out of their shell when I'm at the table.
So yeah, before we were live streaming, like we had this conversation about you were saying that people don't talk as much, and I was mentioning, and Joe Rogan mentioned this on a podcast with Malcolm Gladwell, the guy who did outliers.
Yeah.
So your generation and older didn't grow up with internet. The internet was commercialized in approximately 1995. It was commercialized when I was in high school, about 1995, but I still had like, 16 plus years of like real life social. But these
Right.
kids nowadays, they're literally growing up with internet, and the amount of face to face social is just like super chopped off. So just like people are not as good, as like, face to face. Like I would say that, I'm by reputation, I'm more of like, conservative, probably more, indoor style. So I'm not exactly like for back then extremely social, but for this day and age, I actually had like 16 years of like actually interacting with people. So I'd be considered on
Well, look at
better end.
Dewan was an internet guy to start, and a few of his guys back then, and he came out and said he liked the live better. There's an element to seeing the person, looking at their neck, seeing if the excitement is from them having a big hand or bluffing, and things like that. There's just elements that you don't get from behind a screen. It's just a gut feeling: do I click or do I don't? That's what that brings, and you know unfortunately, with this current COVID situation, we may be the only outlet that's going to be playing
Yeah.
online, and that's it. You know.
No, yeah, I've been playing online, recently, and now actually I took a look at. I'm going to probably be streaming some higher stakes games. Higher stakes is relative. It's not like super high stakes. It's high stakes for what's online right now, like
Right.
510 or something like that. But just like people are raising like 2.5x, 2.2x when it's like, oh my gosh, like how much work did they put in to
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
study this game? Like back then I was using HUD, so it's like I have all the data, but even what I was doing back then is like totally outdated for today's standards. Like I was looking at these like recent GTO charts, and they're just like even they look really different from the hand selections that I were taught. So it was like I don't know, I really don't know.
You know, I learn everything that everybody else learns, game theory, all that stuff. I pay attention to. At the end of the day, though, when you're playing high stakes, it comes down to, and I think Garrett has an unbelievable great ability of this of feeling the situation and the moment. I think Andy has a good, and I think me not being a pro on their level, but even a rec. I think if you look at one of my gifts, and Nicole, would say it when she announces, I have the ability to smell bullshit when it's there. And
Yep.
and that's the part of high stakes that's really exciting and really fun, is when you're around a group of guys where there's 100, 200 on the table, and they're going to make a move. They're not going to care to float that and see what you're going to do at the end of the day.
Right. I mean, that's like what can't be taught. Like you could teach ranges, you could teach theory all day long. In fact, you could teach like in this spot do this, this spot do that. And that's my big problem with like, hand histories on 2+2 or even just like hand analysis on YouTube. There are some people who are, highly credible, like, Doug Polk or Phil Galfond and stuff like that. But some other people, it's like, they just analyze these hands in the vacuum. But when you're playing against Andy, you guys know each other. It's not going to be straightforward. Like, and I often say, live at the bike's like the first 4 hours, the 5 hours. When you get to like hour 6, hour 10, everything changes. In which, like, if the viewers see the live at the bike sessions where you see hours 4 through 8 with
Yeah.
like the $1 million cash games or some other ones, everything changed. The dynamic changed. And that's just 4 through 8. Like when you're playing like hour 10, hour 20 with the same guys, oh man, just like just throw
Yeah.
everything out the window.
And I'm one of the guys that in this day and age now, and I don't know who, so I'm not making accusations, but a lot of people are on Adderall playing the game.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those guys. Josh Macciello, I don't sleep. I'm a vampire, and when you play against me and we go 24 hours, you're getting me on coffee and some orange juice and stuff, and that's it. And I get pride. I took pride in myself for beating the shit out of those guys that needed to be helped to do that. I patted myself on the back. Look, some of the best sessions I played at the bicycle casino started as a live at the bike game and then
Mhm.
transferred over. And man, I
Right.
ain't lying when I tell you we've went 48 hours before. That's a
Mhm.
fact. If people say no, no, I'm telling you, I was part of multiple days where we had to go upstairs when the rooms were built. You can go take a nap and come down, and play again. That's real stuff. That was poker. My wife would not be happy about that when that was happening, but
Oh, you froze.
I
You froze for a bit.
was saying about how the games were so juicy that
Oh
you
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
want to leave. You didn't want to leave, and you would, my wife might not have been happy that I'd be there 48 hours, but it was money on the table. There was good poker happening. When
yeah,
good poker's happening, I don't care about bad beats. I don't, even if it happens to me. I'm okay with it. If it's all good poker happening, it's, this, Wayne. There's very rare times where the whole table's flowing, the game is just good all the way around. You
yeah.
almost don't want it to end as a poker player. You're like,
Sure,
this is
yeah,
so too good to be true.
yeah. It's just a different era back then. Like like I don't know. I would. What's your longest session? 48
Three,
hours?
no,
3 days?
72 hours. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mine's 72 hours. Like I usually don't do that. That's why I don't like going to Vegas. I like staying here because like I'll just go home. Like
Yeah.
in Vegas, like I'll have a long session, then I'll be like, go back to the room. I'm like, dude, there's like nothing to do here, and the
Yeah.
internet's screwed up. So it's just
Yeah.
like I just go down, and then next thing you know, it's 72 hours. I'm like, why the hell did I do that?
Yeah, 3 days. My world was, there was a time which the youngsters of Live at the Bike didn't know, that when the bike Live at the Bike ended, the games at the bike would end. You would have one maybe game I would like to play in, and then
Mhm.
it would come down to three people and two, and that's be like 2, 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Not until the second wave of Live at the Bike. So first wave, it got slow. Second wave, Nicole and the other guy, I don't want to mention names. The other guy that would throw the PLO games was announcing. When he was there, it started then that Live at the Bike was getting multiple tables of 5, 10, 20, if you will, and things like that. Then the sessions became longer, and you started to see different people come in. And I want to say this was before you know, they, I'm not name. I don't want to name drop, but there was all of a sudden these Athena, who I love, she's a sweetheart, and all these people, Bear Jew, all these guys were given this credibility of being legends. Man, we were legends before those guys even existed on the show. With all
You
due
guys are
respect,
all legends. You guys are all legends.
listen, listen, we legends are people that, in my opinion, that put in hours of the show, and we did. And I'm not taking away from anybody. I told you this when we talked off the air. I never
Yeah.
taken away from them, but there are people that actually put in before that time. And that, you see me, I'm on Wayne, I'm on Twitter, and I call it out. I say it. I've been doing that shit since 2006, 2007.
Yeah, no, we talk about it in the back. I like, there's only 9 seats, but all this continuity, like I don't know if you've seen the Poker Crowd talk shows I do. Like I get Kelly Meekin's first appearance, I get Andy's first appearance, I get Bryce Yaki's like cool hands from like 2010. Like,
And Bryce is
I'm just
another one that don't get enough credit. He's been on for many
mhm.
years, dude. Bryce
Which
has
is
been,
yeah, he's
yeah,
a friend of mine. I've known him for I don't know, 10-ish, 10 plus years.
nicest guy in
So
the
yeah.
world too. People don't know Bryce. He's one of the nicest human beings, like yourself. One of the nicest guys in the world, man. You just aired a very, he made a great play on me. I know we're not running hands on this one. And people
Mhm.
always ask me, why'd you take so long to call? Bryce had ace 10 with the ace of diamonds. I had jack 7 of diamonds. Flop came out 10 high with 3 diamonds. And what made it the hand so difficult, pre-flop, I raised, he re-raised, I called. So right there alone, Dave Tuckman actually brought this up. He was calling a hand. He said, you know why Josh is thinking? Because Bryce could have done that with ace jack of diamonds or ace queen of diamonds, and to see him check shove the river for like an $8,000-9,000 pot, or I think it was $10,000. I mean, that threw me off to where I got to think
I
about this
think
now.
I think he and I talked about this hand on air, and we did it. I don't remember. I know I've seen the hand,
Yeah.
but yeah, just like you said, it's just like the context is so different. Like against most people, maybe it's a fold, or when
He's a
it's a tough
great play.
decision.
If I have 2 pair, I'm folding. If I have a set, I'm really thinking about, people say you would not, because he played it so well. It was that thing that we were just talking about, gut, and looking at him, and everything told me I should call.
he's I mean, we've all evolved over the years, and even our roles in poker evolved. You
Yeah.
know, I'm probably the most drastic. I was like, competitive high stakes, and just like now I'm in broadcast, kind of like what Mike Sexton did. But
Andy
yeah,
was
just
kind of ship it Andy young in his poker career. I don't know if people remember that Andy, but young Andy was just he looked
wild
different,
animal.
he played
Yeah.
different, he was wild, he was, and then all of a sudden when he found his groove, why I like playing against Andy, it's not because I've been lucky and yes, I've gotten better on him. It's because he's hard to play against.
Oh yeah,
Andy's not
yeah.
easy. If you think he is, all those people sit and watch hands and think, "Oh, I
Oh
can
my God, no.
play against that dude at a table." He's hard, dude.
I was propping one day, and then like we did the seven deuce. We were playing seven deuce, and like most people, it was like I think I raised, it was like call, and then I had a feeling, something was weird with this decision making, but he just flat called seven deuce to take away the pot like later. But a lot of people would have like, re-raised on the spot, like,
Yeah.
is in
Yeah,
other
he does.
dimensions,
But he also has a very insane feel for when you're acting like you have something and you don't, and he knows
Right.
it.
Yeah.
He's really good at that, dude. Really good.
Yeah. And then I remember like, sorry, I played with him on camera in Doug Polk. I was only there for a short time. But like the way he was dressing or the way he dressed when he was younger, he was just like so much more street.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like now he's just like super cleaned up,
Yeah.
maybe looking for one bad chick like a spoiler. And I was kidding.
Doug Polk week was actually one of the funnest weeks. That's when, again, before Live at the Bike, all these 200, 300,000, $400,000 pots, I was the one winning the 60s and 50s and 40s. And Doug Polk week, Doug coming actually juiced the game. I always said that him being there, I mean, it was the first time at Live at the Bike, we played 200 and 400 for a while. I mean,
Mhm.
and, I was the guy that straddled, I actually even straddled 800, that game at one point. So the stakes got huge at
Yeah.
that point, very big. In that game, the first night of Doug, when we were at the table, I straddled 7,000, and Doug sitting there like, "Who the hell is this guy?" Straddling 7 grand, and it was I I loved playing with those. I loved Torelli. Torelli would come in. The guy was a pro. He taught me a lot. He'd sit there and tell me why I did certain things, why he did things to induce me to do certain things. And I learned a lot. Ryan Fee was another guy that you guys got on the show who was
Yeah. He's super
incredible,
good, super nice. Yeah.
super nice, good guy who would sit there and help me on the side. And those are guys that I tip my hat to because that's what they do all day, every day, and they took the time to help me out.
Yeah. And that was like Ryan Fee's probably no limit hold'em prime. And Alex Raleigh, he's, him and Ryan Fee, like they changed career directions too, because, they run training sites and coaching and stuff like that. So,
Dude, Torelli made the sickest call on Doug Polk. You guys have shown the hand many
yeah.
times. I mean, still to today, I'm sitting there like, and again, that goes into you don't do that online. Things are different. That's a face to face feeling kind of thing.
It's both. I mean, like with like Linus Love and I forgot who the other guy was. It might have been Ben Solsky. Probably not. I don't remember. Anyway, there's just some like crazy hands where it's like I don't know. There's like three or four Broadway cards, and call with like nines or something like that. Like these,
Yeah.
like online is just like the total different beast. It's like
But you don't
um,
think, are you watching all the reruns of high stakes poker again that are on
I'm not
Poker Network?
watching like every minute, but I do tune in and like watch
Do
stuff
you
and
not
like
see the difference from before to
huge. The
now?
game's evolved. Yeah, the
Yeah.
game's totally
Yeah.
evolved. Like that's one when you were mentioning about Andy. It's just like the way you win in No Limit Hold'em in 2005, 2010, 2015, 2020. It's all different. Like a lot of the GTO like preflop raising 2.5x or the smaller preflop raises. That's good for this era. It wasn't necessarily good back then. Like
Yeah.
back then, you want to just get as much money into the pot, and when you have a good hand, you get paid. On the river.
Look, I one of the baddest plays I've ever seen on Live at the Bike history. Studying Garrett and watching him, Mike Mattisau's hand with him, of Mike
Oh, the
staying
six
addicted.
six seven,
Yeah,
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 and the aces.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if you gotta at least me knowing watching Garrett so much. That's just a pair to me, dude. It's I'm never feeling good there in that hand, at all. And Mike, shame on him. He's been playing the game long enough. He should have done his homework. you know.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. Like, like Garrett's just evolved into such a crazy beast, like in the last couple of years, and just like, I vaguely remember him on Run It Once. I didn't really remember he was on Deuces Cracked. I played with him back in the day, 1020 No Limit at Commerce, and just like, I told this in person, I said on air, like we're all very proud of his career, and like, Zach Freeman said the same thing. Like, he's done it all. He's a legitimate grinder. Did online live training, which he's not going to do anymore unless it's for charity, like he's doing recently. And now he's a TV player, and he's still, playing the biggest stakes games for a living. It's like crazy.
And he's got a feel. And I think it's a groove that he's in right now that's working for him. Same way as Andy. By the way,
Yeah,
Zach Freeman, another one of my favorite
he's such a
people
good
to play
guy.
against.
Yeah,
He's another guy that got me sucked. Him and a few other guys, I'm not going to mention names, got me into uh, uh, playing Omaha. And I paid the price early on. I had the worst thing that can happen to an Omaha player. I won for the first 2 weeks, like
that's
I
what
was
happened to me.
unbeatable,
Yeah,
like I was on top of the world. And I looked at them and said, "You guys, this is the easiest friggin' game in the world."
yeah,
Well, I should have never said that because I went through a 2 month span where I needed to tell Zach, "Hey man, help me out. What am I doing wrong?" And I started to realize you just can't play the game the same way as Texas Hold'em. No limit. You just can't. It's a completely different beast.
yeah. It's totally different. I mean, that's kind of what happened to me. I ran good and played well in the beginning. I just did not know the name for or the game for the life of me, and then I had to, go back to the drawing board studying and just like shout out to Dylan Weissman and Chris Wayner, who from Upswing Poker came on to live the bike. So it's funny because Upswing's first PLO coach is Jane Andes, and he was actually like, ripping on me for like one of the hands I played on live the bike, in which like a lot of people, a lot of pros are just like, huh, like that's totally like what he did was like standard. And then when me and Dylan Weissman were commentating on PLO, I was asking him questions because like I want to learn too. What's the latest thing? I'm not that studied up on the latest, but I'm known to have strong fundamentals. And then he's like, no, this is right, this right, this right. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
So
Well, you guys look, and this show is a great, and I'm not selling it. I don't have to. I don't own a piece of it, but
yeah,
I've been a part of it for a long time. It's a great learning tool. It
yeah,
is a very good learning tool to have your subscription. Go back and watch all the shows. See how hands are played. As people look, when people commentate my hand and they think they know why I did what I did,
oh
most of the
yeah,
time they can't say that because
mhm,
most of the time I may not. It was a feeling I had and it was something I did. But I get to rewatch and see why I had that. And then you could utilize that to then for a next time. And that's what I think this show really does. And it's always done for me. It helped me against players like when you would have lesser players on there that weren't as playing every two, we used to play, I used to play Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday or before Fridays were there. Those were my days. And there were guys that would come in once a week and you would get the read on them and you knew I'm going to take them down tonight. One point or another, I'm gonna bust them tonight.
I mean, there's actually two types of people like that watch you from on screen and then play with you. One is the cocky guy, which we could get a sense they're just looking for a hand to like try to bluff you out, and we're ready for that. And then when it happens, so like, how do you call there? I'm like, dude, I knew you're gonna try to bluff me out. The other one are just like, they've studied like every single one of your moves and they're just waiting to pounce on you. Those guys are kind of scary because they actually pay
Well,
attention.
I have eidetic memory, Wayne. So when I look at people and I watch their games, and I've watched this last 2.5 years, and I'm like I said, next big show, I'm ready. Last 2.5 years, I've studied them all, and I'm watching things, and I'm seeing things that go down in certain situations, in positions. People think that they don't play a major. It plays a major role in certain things that certain guys that I have been watching do, and it's fun to see that happen. And of course, no matter what, it's like you're getting back into it, taking your training wheels off to get back into the ring, to get into that fight. You're gonna have to figure it all out. You're gonna go through,
Yeah,
take some rough punches because good poker players, i.e., like yourself, that play all games, the Garretts, the Andys, they're always switching something up.
yeah,
It's that meta world that people would talk about that you're thinking what they know that kind of stuff.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
So
why
that's
it's just like, yeah, I mean, and it's a total meta thing. And then, like I know this happens because I'm not that active on the show anymore. I'm because there's only 9 seats. So I see people when they go and play, Andy Garrett, Nick Bertucci, and all them for the first time, they recognize them. They have that like gleam in their eye, like, oh, I know you, and then they actually play with them, or like, oh, I didn't know them at all.
Well, and
So,
that's the other part too. You can't, when watching whole cards, assume that it's the same when sitting with them without. You
yeah,
can't. It's a mistake because the you're taking away that element of knowing something, and that's the
yeah,
part where I get sick in the head. My wife will tell you I do this, where I'll turn the sound down, turn my back, and I'll act like I know what somebody has as the hand is going. What did they do? She'll tell me she thinks I'm psychotic, but that's how meta sick I get into things because I want to see how well do I know somebody, and that's how much I love the game, dude. I do stupid things like that.
sure, yeah. No, I mean, it's just like we all do things to show our, appreciation and fandom for the game.
Yeah.
Like I think, what was the? I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, no. This is one of the things I told JJ De La Garza. Is just like, I prefer that all the commentators play on the show because then you know what it's like. Because there's so many commentators of the past. I'm not necessarily talking about Live the Bike, but they just like you could tell they've never played on camera. They're like, oh, this is so obvious, like I would do this, and just like, dude, why don't you play on camera? Because the guys on camera are the only people who can't see the whole cards. Like the commentators should be there to
Yeah.
protect the players and be like, I played on camera. I played on like around 100 episodes, and like I know how hard it is. Like the hardest job is out there, and there's so much you can't see just off the screen or the commentator's booth.
I, I used
Like you
to I
mentioned
used to get
earlier.
into it with Dave Tuckman. Tuckman,
Mm,
I love Tuckman. I love Tuckman. I'll just get that out before I say the statement. But some of the arguments off camera we would have is, dude, you don't play 25, 50, and 100, and you're saying what you or what I did wrong. You don't know. And I won the hand, and you're critiquing why I did that.
mm,
You don't know. I did it for the result happened what I wanted. And just because I didn't play it by the book doesn't mean it was wrong. I got the result. I got the all in. I called. I did what I wanted to do. And you're critiquing while never having this much in front of you on the show ever. Those were the kind of things, and he would understand. This is the kind of relationship I had because you know me. I don't bite my tongue. I'll say what
yeah,
I feel, but
yeah,
we're gonna have a drink afterwards. It's gonna be fine. Dave knew that too, but I would always go to him and or Nicole and say, "Hey, man," and bringing up JJ. JJ is a great guy. JJ has played on the show before even commentating.
yeah.
I don't think he's ever, not with me, played the bigger games. He's always played the 5-10, maybe 5-10, 20.
He's played pretty big on the show before. Yeah.
Not with me. I'm saying
Oh
before
yeah.
before my time. He wasn't playing the bigger ones.
Yeah. So like JJ and I literally came on Live the Bike around similar time. We played on the show
Yeah.
first, and we had mentorship from like Lime and Nicole to like how to commentate, and then we got in our groove, and then JJ had some breakthroughs for like balanced commentary and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it's a
he's
learning
he's
process
come a
for all of
long
us.
way commentating because now he's doing those games on his own in a lot of time, dude. Which is, by the way, that's another thing I challenge people when they say about now the other side commentating. That's hard to do on your own too.
Yes,
Is
it
call the game.
is.
It's not
Es-
easy. I mean, you
Especially
guys,
solo. Yeah,
a
solo is
solo is
really
like
hard.
you have so much that you have to fill in and do that. I always stick up for him in the chat when I'm watching when people talk shit. Oh my god, this I'm like, dude, you guys don't even know what it's like, and you're sitting there
Yeah.
ripping somebody. It's hard, and he's calling those games. It's not easy.
Yeah, because it's like some like JJ and I especially we're just like, dude, they're the guys out there, they're the guys doing studying, they're the guys putting all the money out there. We don't want to be presumptuous on like
You
what's
guys
right or
both do a
wrong.
good
Yeah,
job of letting the table talk play too. I've noticed you
yeah,
guys allow because they. By the way, you know me. I'm all about table talk. So there's some fun conversations that go on a poker table that other commentators, not you guys, they don't let that play out, man. They
yeah.
don't let
We
it
we
happen.
scale in and scale out, depending
Yeah.
on who's Usually it's Garrett saying the interesting things, like even his like stories or just like if you listen to him talk, he drops so much knowledge on the casino industry. And because I know not everything he says, but definitely some of the stuff, I'm like, dude, you can't Google that.
Yeah,
So
that's true. That's true.
it's like it's good because it's not like it's just this, and this goes for like every industry. It's like there's always like things you can't Google. So when somebody just like learns about an industry from the outside from the Google, that's like the tip of the iceberg. Like they don't know what's really going on.
And
Can't
and
be
I
like
and
in
I
there.
can't wait to be at that table. Look, I want to be there with. I know Ken. I played with Ken. I was there when Ken first started to come around. He's fun and just he's another guy. You have no idea what he's going to do, Ken.
He's the
You
bluff
know,
daddy.
oh my God! But he doesn't. He has it. You've seen some big hands he's been involved in,
Oh yeah.
where these people are thinking he's bluffing, and he has it. Jackie, I've played with. He's fun. I think Jackie and Andy had the biggest hand ever, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken, on Live at the Bike.
$440,000 pot.
That's my goal, man. I'm coming to break that
All right. You're frozen again. Frozen.
record. I'm coming to break the record.
All right. Well, that's all the time we got. It's glad to have you on. When we get back to live, when the bike opens again, I'll have you on another session, and you could talk about some of your hands on Live at the Bike.
I can't wait, Wayne. Listen, you're a dear friend. I appreciate you. You've always,
Too.
always, treated me with respect, and I feel nothing but love and appreciation for you, JJ,
The whole team.
the whole team, Evelyn,
Brian, Evelyn,
Brian.
Brian,
Oh, dude,
Patrick.
yeah, that's my boy. Tell him I said what's up, man. He's a great guy too. I miss all you guys, and I can't wait to see you guys in the near future.
All right. Hope to see you in the Friday games in the future.